Hi, this is Dominic Keating. I played Lieutenant Malcolm Reed on Enterprise, as you probably know, and you are listening to the NX 7062 podcast. Enjoy.
Yes, you are listening to the NX 7062 podcast. Hello. Sorry, a couple of little technical things going on. Because it turns out that when you clear out certain parts of your history and your browser and all this, everything kind of resets. I had to do it today. My poor computer is running out of memory space, my poor thing. Hello, War Dog. Let's see, the FAA is about to start at the 7th roll, so I'll be double streaming. Okay, no problem. Hello to the original chat pack over at the 7th rule. Hi from Chat Pack 2.0. Tell them howdy. And Robert, thank you as always for joining us here. I don't even know why my camera's doing that. Come on, stop. See, look at that. I apologize. I have no idea why my camera's being all flickery. Let's see. Standard definition. Let's see. Maybe if I just let the camera kind of reboot itself. Will it stop? Gotta love doing all this tech stuff like right during the show. All right. Okay. All right. And let's see what else is going on in the background. It's been a very long day. I apologize. It's been a really long day. I actually had to get up like regular people, like 9 to 5 job awake. And it was crazy. I haven't done that for a very long time. Because I've been kind of gigging it for a while, so it's just been really weird. Oh, maybe that's why. There we go. That make you happy? I don't know. Hello, Lasso. So good to see you. Okay. So, I apologize for maybe it's the green screen. Wow. I love that you guys are just going to like totally hang out with me while I figure this out. Because you know what? It's going to annoy me too. So maybe if I actually bring it up. Nope. Because then I'd disappear. You're like, woo. This is, I never realized the complications of like playing with a green screen. All right. You know what? Oh, that made it worse. Oh my God. I hope nobody has epilepsy that's going to watch this, because that flickering is going to it's driving me crazy and I don't have issues. So I know it would drive someone else crazy. But maybe if I bring it down. If I bring it down, does it make it better or worse? Makes it worse. So let's bring it up. Are you guys having fun yet? I'm having so much fun. Oh my God. I am so tired. Okay, but I'm here because I want to talk about Star Trek animation. And because I was really excited that Mike McMahon actually answered me on Twitter today pretty damn quickly. Yeah, see? So it looks good and now it was flickering. That's so weird. All right, hold on 1 second, guys. Yeah, because now the flickering's gotten worse and I don't know why. All right, let me see. Fade. All right, it's gonna look really crappy. See, okay, so fading it makes it worse. All right, but if I go like up, then I disappear. Watch, it'll stop flickering, but you guys won't see me. All right, that's not really great, but all right. You're gonna have to bear with me for a second because there you go. Now you can hear me, but you can't see me. How much fun is that? For a YouTube channel, it's not at all, and it's flickering for you guys now too. McMahon and Tate, for those of you that don't know, is a total Bewitched thing. All right, great. So it's not flickering for you guys. That's so weird. All right. Well, if it's not flickering for you guys, if I'm stable for you guys, then I'm going to keep it, and I'm just going to try not to look at it because it's driving me crazy. I don't know where it was because all I was doing was playing with the fade on the green screen. So, all right, you know what? let's try this. Nope. We'll try one more thing, and I don't know if it's gonna work. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Nope, didn't work. I thought maybe changing my background would work. All right, you know what? If it's not flickering for you guys, then I'm just gonna deal with it, and I'm sorry. This is not how I wanted to start my show. Oh my God, this is what happens when you're like a one-woman show. So the first thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, let me know if it gets really bad, because it's really bad here. But if it looks okay for you guys, I'm just going to deal with it, because, you know, this is just one of the really fun things that happens when you're live too. I mean, isn't that awesome? You know, I usually start off with a weather report, and it is miserable here. We are actually getting like this tail end of Ian coming through. So it's been raining and miserable here like the entire weekend. It's really gross. Really gross. And I had to go out in it today, and I have to go out in it tomorrow. And then we're going back up to 60, and then we're going back up to 65. Oh my God. But climate change isn't real, but whatever. Okay. And so I've got my complaints out of it because my office is really cold. To top all these technical issues off, my office is like wickedly cold. And I hate that. And I'm not ready to turn the heat on because it's going up to 65 on Wednesday. Oh, Ian loves me. Yeah, that must be what it is. Okay, so there is a John Billingsley story that I totally forgot to tell you guys from STLV, and it's probably my favorite John Billingsley story. Speaking of, I heard from him the other day. He's going to have to reschedule, so he's not going to be here on the 17th. Speaking of Ian loving me, his shoot is down in Savannah, and it was delayed because of Ian. So now he's actually working, so he's not going to be home. He was hoping to be home by the 17th, but he's not going to be back in LA. And he's working on the 17th, so we don't get to talk to him on location. So we're trying for either later in October or possibly November. So I could have back-to-back interviews because I've got 2 dates reserved on Rod Roddenberry's calendar for November. And I will let you know what those are as it gets closer and we can solidify it a little more. But my favorite JB story that I was telling everybody from STLV, like I said, I went to this awesome cocktail party that he hosted to kick off the announcement that Trek Talks 2 is coming in January. And he left because Trek Geeks treated him to a steak dinner. So he made a big announcement and he was leaving. So we all went about our business. I hung out with the Sci-Fi Sisters, part of the Trek Geeks podcasting family. And eventually, you make your way back to the hotel and, you hang out in the bar. And eventually I'm like, you know what? I got to turn in. I got to get up, last day of the convention. I had to be at the booth bright and early. So the elevators got 2 banks because the elevators are separated. So they go to separate floors. There's 2 banks of elevators and they each service separate chunks of floors. So I go to my elevator bank and there are the Trek Geeks guys with John Billingsley. So of course it's, hey, how are you guys? We all get on the elevator together. We're just chatting about how was dinner and all of this. And we get to the 19th floor and John goes, all right, see ya. And I went, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Turns out the entire time he was there, he and I weren't just floor mates. We were actually only about 7 rooms apart. I walked past his room every morning. I know he wasn't there the whole time. I think he got in. Well, no, actually he was. I think he got in on Wednesday night. So the entire time, and only on the last night did we find out that we were 7 rooms apart. And of course, there was jokes as we got off the elevator because there's 3 separate hallways, but we ended up going down the same hallway. So I escorted John Billingsley to his room on the last night of the convention. And I just thought that was so funny. So I wanted to share that with you. Hey, Travis, how are you? Oh, War Dog, I'm so sorry that you missed. But, you can always, I know you don't get to watch, ask questions, but please, feel free to watch it. And you know what? Tell you what, just for you, War Dog, if you watch the podcast, or if you haven't already, and you watch the whole thing, and you decide that you've got a question for JG, ask me, and I'll see if I can get him to. I'll message him. I'll see if I can get him to answer it for you. Won't be as fun and exciting and off tangent as he likes to go, having him answer it live, but I'll see if I can get you an answer. Rough day for no cheese, Tom on Sunday, fell asleep, woke up on when it was all over. I hate that. I'm doing well, Travis. Thank you. I'm just kind of getting used to a new 9-to-5 gig here, so I'm a little tired, and I was having tech issues before you got here, but I'm good now, so thank you so much for asking, and always so glad that you can join us. And don't forget, this is my official NX7062 hat, and you can get yourselves one, which not only would be supporting me, but it would be supporting my friend Raymond Litster, who works with Chase Masterson and has designed all of the merch for Pop Culture Hero Coalition. So if you would like this beautiful hat, that is where you can go to get it. It's so awesome, so you can represent for your podcast. Raymond made me this awesome shirt, this sparkly shirt, and I am going to wear it one night on the show. I just don't know what happened to it because I brought it home and now I can't find it, which is usually what happens to me after I come home from a long trip. But I posted pictures of it. He made me this great, yes, you absolutely have to get that hat. And I just put up the link, but I'll put it up again. And in fact, let me see if I can do this. Why is there a phone number down there? Huh. I share this. I share this actually with, there it is, with my friends over at Lambda Quadrant. So sometimes I got to make sure I'm in the right place. But there you go. Copy down that link. Oh, nope, that's my Patreon. I'm sorry. But you should copy down that link too. You should go to Patreon. See, this is what happens when I'm tired and I'm hosting my own. There's Raymond's link. That is where you get the hat. That's where you get the hat. Right there. So I'm going to leave that up for a little bit. But yeah, so, new 9-to-5 gig. We'll see what happens with that. But oh my gosh, hopefully by next week, maybe before the show, I should start drinking more Monster Energy drinks. But okay, so I told you my very fun John Billingsley story. This week's Lower Decks. Oh my God, what had to be the best Lower Decks yet, except for the only thing that beats it out is when they were talking about Trip Tucker Sprinkles. A Captain Kirk Sunday with Trip Tucker Sprinkles. Outside of that, best episode ever. And it got spoiled so quickly because so many people disrespected the whole, at least 48 hours before you start talking on the internet about a show. But Now Visitor reprised her role as Kira. Quark, Armin was back as Quark. The space station was drawn beautifully. They did the theme at the beginning, which was hysterical. The wormhole opening. I mean, the whole 9 yards. You really got that DS9 effect at the beginning. And it was so much fun when they were acting like it's such a tourist attraction now that the Dominion War is over. I thought that was hysterical, and the whole thing about Quark and his franchises. What else would a Ferengi do, though? I mean, that's got to be a moneymaker right there, franchising Quarks. So I loved that. We knew it was coming. Quark Industries, we kind of knew it was coming, but because that's also a nod to Picard, because there was a Quarks in the first season of Picard. So we all know what an entrepreneur Quark is and whatever he'll do for Latin. And what I loved, I think, was Boimler trading in all of his Latinum just to get stuff at Quarks because the Federation doesn't use money anyway. I love that line. That's what I love about Lower Decks, though. That's absolutely what is these little throwaway things. It's like, oh yeah, we don't use money, so I'll take the credit. The original Quarks, yeah, but it's the original. And Ferengis don't cheat. Okay, whatever. So I thought that was awesome. So let's move on to tonight's topic. I'm not going to stick around very long, guys. I mean, I know I spent all this time fixing my tech issues, but I really can't keep my eyes open. I am so embarrassed. This is so funny. This is what I get for turning myself into a night owl that used to not get up until noon and take my time getting out of bed. But I will adjust. I promise. I think Lasso kind of knows what I'm talking about. But and please don't yell at me for saying that. Lasso actually has the coolest job on the planet, in my personal opinion, outside of what I'm doing right now. But if he wants to talk about it in the room, he totally can. But Lasso has the coolest job ever. And I think it's really his dream job, and I love that he found it. So if he wants to talk about it to you guys, he can, because I forgot to ask permission if I could mention it. And if I shouldn't have mentioned it, he will yell at me later or now because my phone will go off. All right, so we did a poll to find out what everybody loved about Star Trek animation, and poor original animation, TAS, the animated series, got absolutely no love. 67% of the Twitter people voted for Lower Decks. 11% voted for Prodigy, and 22% don't like animation. I should have said I don't know if that meant just Star Trek animated. I would hope that they understood that this was literally just a poll about Star Trek, and but you know what? You don't have to like animation. That's totally fine. Everybody's got their own thing. But see, here's the thing about TIS. It got no love. It's nobody's favorite. It was Filmation. It was cheesy. We're all spoiled by the amazing animation of the day. But back when it was on in 69, it was on from 69 to 70. Wait, I'm sorry. Let's read my notes better. It was on from 73 to 75. That was the animation for the era. I mean, I grew up Filmation with the original He-Man and She-Ra and everything that came before it. There was this chunky, weird animated, but that's my childhood. So I have a very special place in my heart for the animated series. Plus, we got to meet Spock's pet. But this is the thing about TAS. First of all, like I said, can't really compare it to today's animation standards. I don't know if you guys have seen on YouTube, but some very incredibly talented person took some Next Gen and some, I think, Voyager, and turned them into that Filmation late 60s, early 70s animation, and did like this TNG animated and Voyager animated. It was great. Like I said, that's what I grew up with. But here's the thing. It started in 73, which meant there was only a 4-year gap between the end of Star Trek and the animated series. And they got the entire gang back together to do 2 years worth of episodes. They won 2 awards. They got David Gerrold back. I mean, they had More Trouble. David Gerrold, who wrote Trouble with Tribbles, actually was a voice in 2 episodes. Ted Knight was a voice in an episode. And I'm sorry, Ted Knight, he was animation's voice of the 70s. If anybody ever watched the Super Friends and heard the whole brought together from the 4 corners of the universe with their friends, Wendy Marvin and Wonder Dog, that was Ted Knight, and he did Star Trek. Yeah, see, exactly. It was part of when I was a kid. It was growing up. And it brought Star Trek back. Only 4 years after the cancellation, we got more Trek. People got more Trek. So instead of there being a 10-year gap between the end of the original series and the movie, the motion picture, you had the animation in between to keep it in the front of mind and to keep people interested. And I think that helped. You can't tell me that getting the original cast back to voice their characters all over again in animation did not help keep the Star Trek flame alive, so that when the motion picture came out, everybody was so pumped and so ready for it, because they had 2 full shows and then a movie. So love it, think it's okay. I think Star Trek's success owes something to the animated series, because it kept it front of mind for a lot of people with that gap. Yeah, exactly. Jimmy Doohan doubled and tripled and quadrupled up. Majel Barrett did a couple of voices. She came in and did, obviously, she was Chapel. She was the voice of the computer, and she also did a couple of other voices. I didn't sit and go over like everybody that was in it, because I want to, but you know what? It's on IMDb. You guys can go to IMDb just as easily as I But it was so amazing, and I really do think that it helped keep the Star Trek flame alive, so that by the time the movie came out, I really think it helped. Yes, and that's the other thing. It was groundbreaking to move a live action show to animation. Absolutely agree. So it's I get why some people don't like it or pretend that it doesn't exist, but you got to give it its due for what it did for the franchise. And the other thing that it does for everybody, for every franchise, for everything, is obviously animation gives you so much more freedom to do things. You have better aliens if you can just animate them than if you have to make them out of paper mache and stick them on somebody's body. So, I mean, that was all, Spock got a pet. Can you imagine what that pet would have looked like if they tried to do it on a live action show? No, it looked like a big grizzly bear. It was so much better as in animation than it ever could have been in the 60s at the time with the technology that they had available. So we have this animated void from the end of, or from 1975 all the way up to when Lower Decks premiered. There was no Star Trek animation. And then here's Lower Decks from Mike McMahon, and it just breaks all the rules, which is why, as much as, the people that answered the poll, 67% of them loved it. I know a lot of people that that don't like Lower Decks because it breaks all the rules and because it's a little crass and rough around the edges. Yeah, they really didn't rerun TAS, did they? It was kind of here and then gone, unless you could find it at a convention. I think you really didn't run across the animated series much in reruns by the time you hit the 80s. So we've got, and let's remember, Mike McMahon came from Rick and Morty. And if anybody's ever seen Rick and Morty, I can totally tell you that Lower Decks is completely 120% tame compared to Rick and Morty. So, so seriously, you guys think TAS is bad? Go watch. I love Rick and Morty. I absolutely love Rick and Morty. I love the TAS animations. Yes, okay, yeah. They're on YouTube, so absolutely, I say just go finding them. But here's the coolest thing that happened today. So I've mentioned this before. In Captain Freeman's office, there's a pineapple, and I have run around saying that the only reason that there is, even better. I didn't even know it was on DA. See, there you go. I'm just talking like once it was off the air until there was a desert of TAS where it didn't exist unless you could find a bootleg. But that goes for a lot of things. There's a lot of animation that I watched when I was a kid that I can't find unless it's bootlegged. Unless you happen to go to an anime convention or something and you stumble across and I have actually. Anybody else that knows Marine Boy knows what I'm talking about. It really was a cartoon and it was anime and you can't find it anywhere unless you can find it on a bootleg. Okay. So I've always said that pineapple has to be an Enterprise reference. Why else would Captain Freeman have a pineapple in her office? Well, it turns out that she's got a freaking pineapple in her office because Mike McMahon just loves pineapples. He told me today, if you don't follow me on Twitter, I asked him on Twitter. He is awesome. He got right back to me. It blew up people with pineapple opinions. Turns out somehow pineapple is a symbol for swingers, some sort of sorrow swingers thing. So maybe that means that even though it doesn't look like Malcolm has game, maybe Malcolm is secretly a swinger and that's why he loves pineapple. I don't know. I love pineapple too. So my response to Mike was, okay, it didn't start that way, but can it be now that I've mentioned it? And he just said, he just liked it. So if he liked that comment, I'm going to take that to mean that if I want it to be a reference to Enterprise in Lower Decks because of the Enterprise episode Silent Enemy, where we all find out that Malcolm Reed's favorite food is pineapple, then so be it. That is it. I have made that decision. I'm going to consider that liking that request Mike's permission to say that moving forward, it is totally an Enterprise reference. Didn't answer the question about the doctor though, but I didn't want to get greedy. He answered half the question. Well, War Dog, if you want to know if this creature sucking on the Cerritos nacelle is a Maggie Simpson Easter egg. Well, he's really good at answering questions. If you're on Twitter, tweet at him. Seriously, just tweet him the question. That's all I did. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet. He's just really, really, really good about responding to people. So absolutely, I would ask him directly. I should ask him to come on the show directly. Who the hell knows? Because then we could discuss pineapples and Enterprise and bring up the bird thing again, because he missed that. Because since John Billingsley has talked for years about how he thought Phlox should have some bird-like qualities, when he auditioned and his first scenes on Enterprise that never made it to screen, he squawked until somebody told him to knock it off because he thought it was supposed to be a bird. So I just thought that having a bird doctor on the Cerritos and the fact that Paul F. Tompkins sounds suspiciously like Dr. Phlox, I just thought that maybe that was a nod to Enterprise. And all right, well then, War Dog, I will just have to get him to come on the show. I will just have to ask him to come on the show, which I will do. Which I will absolutely do. Yeah, I mean, he's great. Like I said, I've seen some other interactions with him in the Twitterverse, and I would love to have him on the show. I'm not sure I'd call him out directly, but if he takes private messages, which he may or may not, because we're not following each other, but we'll see. Because anybody that knows me knows I will always ask the question. I have no fear in asking a question. That's how you get guests, you know. If the answer is no, it's no. They just don't know what they're missing. So I love the fact that Lower Decks it's like the rough outer edges of the polished Starfleet. And that's what I love about it, because y'all know that's why I love Enterprise, because it's all that whole show is just rough around the edges. But what I love about Lower Decks is that, you know, again, because Starfleet always presents in every other iteration as, you know, so spit and polish and perfect. But then there's the Lower Decks. They're the people that have to do the scut work. You know, it's not like you will ever see a first officer cleaning out the holodeck shit, literally holodeck shit and slime, or, you know, going down to Cetacean Ops to hang with the whales. You'll never see that. It's all those lower deckers. And yeah, TNG did that one episode that was all ensigns, but they were all running around looking for promotions. And, you know, they're like the Boimler. They're like the Boimler characters. Everybody that's just, I'm here, but they're, how did Yoda put it? Always as you looked away, never your mind on where you are, what you were doing. That was Luke. And it seems like that's Boimler. He's never completely present. He's always looking to his future and where he's going to end up and what's his next ship and what's, you know, and Mariner's just like, I'm happy to be here. I don't have any designs on being an officer. I'm just cool where I'm at. And I'm just kind of sliding along. You know, so I just love that. I love all the different personalities and all the things that it makes you think about, that goes on behind, kind of like a behind the scenes look. As far as Prodigy goes, I enjoy Prodigy. It's probably third on my list. It's geared towards kids, which is a great way to bring kids in. If you bring kids in as they watch, you know, first of all, you're bringing them into the Star Trek universe. Parents have something that they can now share with their younger kids, whereas everything else is for adults. And when your kids are younger, there are things that, you know, you don't want them to see, you don't want to explain to them, you know, so you kind of want to keep them away from Star Trek until they're a little older. And then by that time, you know, they've got their own things. So to kind of close that gap and help you introduce your kids, here's Prodigy. And not only is it a great show with a great story, but it's showing IDIC to kids. Kids are learning now through Prodigy about how important it is to love and to accept, um, everybody, regardless of your differences, and how important it is to work together for a common goal, and how important it is to help somebody when they're in trouble, and all these wonderful, and it's just, there are other shows that teach you that. But to get it from a Star Trek show, you're getting it from both sides. You're getting this wonderful world that you're being invited into, and it's showing you all these wonderful lessons. And it's good for the parents because it doesn't talk down. That's the other thing. It doesn't talk down to anybody, and you have to figure that. Sorry, oh my god, my throat. It doesn't talk down to anybody, so everybody can enjoy it. And kids are so smart these days. I usually don't talk down to kids. I've learned, it's something, honestly, my father's a speech pathologist. And the one thing he always told me was that when you speak to children, you speak to children because that's actually how they learn speech. They learn better if you don't minimize and goo goo gaga and do all that. So my entire life talking to a child, I've always, spoken to them as an adult, and that's what the show does. So I think that makes anybody more receptive when you don't feel like you're being pandered to and you don't feel like you're being talked down to. And so that's what I really absolutely adore about Prodigy. So animated series suggestions, things that people want to see. Of course, it is my podcast. It was my question, and I have the most amazing followers. And there were plenty of people that were voting for Enterprise to come back. Give them their 5th season, bring back the original cast, and just animate them. And of course, that is number 1 on my hit parade. I know Scott Bakula is busy, but come on, you can do voice work from your home studio. Or, you know what, go to Connor and Dominic's houses. They've got their whole setup for Shuttle Pod Show. I'm sure that they can do audio recording too. In fact, Dominic does a lot of voice work. That's something he really didn't talk about. Shuttle Pod Show. See, I told you I was going to dig stuff up for the profile. He does voice work. So plenty of places to do voice work. But yeah, so there are a lot of votes for Enterprise. There was one really cool suggestion about doing something. Yeah, see, animation works. Animation absolutely works. Travis is living proof. Somebody suggested the Earth Romulan War, but better known as just the Romulan War. And of course that would have elements of Enterprise, but they thought that they could do the Romulan War on a broader scope. I know the books aren't canon, but there's so many books out there that I think, sorry. It wasn't animated, it was TNG. Sorry, Travis. Thank you for correcting me. Yeah, a lot of people came into I watched Star Trek the original series, but that's because there were so many the reruns were so accessible to me when I was growing up. So I knew Star Trek from reruns, the original series before TNG. Plus the movies, I'd seen the movies. Pretty much first run theater. All of them? Yeah, because I saw Star Wars in its original theatrical release. So 2 years later, I probably would have seen Star Trek. I just remember Star Wars more. Sorry, it's a better movie. And in between that, I had Superman. When 77 was Star Wars, 78 was Superman, and then 79 was Star Trek. And before that, 76 was Rocky. Okay, so like I said, there are just so many books and everything. That animated series practically wrote itself if somebody wanted to try and sneak the books in and make them canon. But one of the ones I really loved, because somebody thought up this really great title, The Adventures of Jake Sisko, Intergalactic Reporter. I thought that was awesome. I loved that. Sirach hasn't replied, but I did tag him in my reply thinking Sirach would totally voice that. And of course, somebody said Captain Worf of the Enterprise, but they also punctuated that with a picture of Captain Riker and Counselor Troy or Commander Troy on the Titan. So they said they would love Captain Worf from the Enterprise, but they also wouldn't mind seeing more with Riker on the Titan. So animated TNG would have been awesome. Oh, let's see. would have been awesome. Wait, it was animated. Captain Planet. Ha ha ha! Funny. I actually never watched Captain Planet. So I will take your word for it, Travis, because I didn't watch Captain Planet. But I love all of these suggestions. And like, I mean, obviously Enterprise could get, they could probably get a 5th, 6th, and 7th. They could probably get their last 3 seasons animated if somebody really wanted to invest in it and the cast was on board for it. And let's face it, they deserve it. They really got a raw deal. And with the resurgence, thanks to a lot to the pandemic and people doing rewatches or first watches. If you follow any of the Facebook fan pages for Enterprise, you'll see a lot of people joining that have said that this has been their first glimpse into Enterprise, and they've really enjoyed it. So I think with the resurgence of interest in Enterprise, I think it would work. I know Paramount's kind of stretched themselves thin with all the live action stuff, and animation's not cheap. I'm not saying that it's cheap, but I would think, as opposed to building sets, it's an easier process just from that kind of standpoint. Like, it's easier to get off the ground, I think, animation wise, than live action. So, I mean, oh, okay. Did not know that. I mean, I will tell you that Gargoyles, Disney's Gargoyles, which I used to watch religiously, 2 of the characters were voiced by Marina Sirtis and Jonathan Frakes. They had some other cool voices in there too, but one of the reasons I really watched Gargoyles were for the 2 of them. And spoiler alert for my profile, which I may or may not be doing on Dominic Keating, he did a voice in the Beowulf, the animated Beowulf, the one with Angelina Jolie. They came out, I think that was late, maybe 2009, maybe somewhere around there. Not 100% sure. But yeah, so I think there's a lot to be said about animation. I mean, adult animation. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Michael Dorn was in it too. Yep. Michael Dorn. Oh my God, he did voices in this is not animated. This is puppeteering, but the show Dinosaurs on ABC. It was like a Jim Henson thing. Michael Dorn did a few episodes. He voiced a few characters in a few episodes. I love Dinosaurs. Baby Sinclair is probably my favorite, one of my favorite puppets or Muppets or whatever you want to call them. I love Baby Sinclair. And Michael Dorn was in a few of those episodes. But I love animation. And let's face it, adult animation has been around since the Flintstones. So, which was actually based on the Honeymooners. The Flintstones were supposed to be the Honeymooners. So this is not new. This let's make animation for adults is by no means new. It's been around since the Flintstones. So why not? I think it's great. I enjoy it. Yes, there is a tint of nostalgia because it is animation, and even though yes, it's made for adults, but it's animation, so it does make you feel like a kid, which is not a bad thing. So I would hope that Paramount and CBS consider doing more animation. I would love to think that they're considering Enterprise. I see a lot of people talking about putting a petition together. And I know that it was a letter writing campaign that got the original series its 3rd season. And I think that's great. But that in the 60s, to get inundated with actual letters that people sat down and wrote and put in envelopes and addressed and put a stamp on it, that I think carries more weight than the fact that there's, choices.org that you can go to. Is it choices.org? There's just so many petition sites out there. Let's see. I do love animation of all kinds, like Love, Death, and Robots. I haven't seen it, but I think I've heard of Love, Death, and Robots. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Adult Swim. I mean, Cartoon Network literally flips over to adult animation after 10 o'clock, 9 or 10 o'clock. They flip over and they call themselves Adult Swim because it's all adult animation. Archer is one of my favorites. I love Archer. Archer and Bob's Burgers, just don't ever watch them back to back because H. John Benjamin really throws you off when one minute he's Bob and the next minute he's Archer. But I just think the fact that petitions are so easy to put together and there is absolutely no effort involved in a bunch of people just, clicking and typing their name, I don't think petitions carry the weight that people think they do, because people are like, oh, let's get a petition every 5 minutes on Facebook. Let's get a petition together. And I get the sentiment and I appreciate the love, especially when it's directed at enterprise. But guys, I'm not sure that that's the best way to go. I'm not sure I know the best way to go to have something like that happen, but I just don't see petitions carrying the same kind of weight that they did back when it wasn't a petition, back when it had to be a letter writing campaign where people actually wrote, stamped, and mailed something, and then I think the studios really took a lot more notice. So thus endeth the animation podcast. War Dog, did you get do you now know how you can go get yourself one of these Stylin NX7062 ball caps? And you are supporting Punk Army again, which is Raymond's company, and he's a good friend, and he literally made me my glitter NX7062 t-shirt, I think a day or two before he left LA to come to Vegas for me. So I love that shirt, and I will have to find out what I did with it. And if there's interest in the shirt, then maybe I could talk him into adding it to my list on his site. Oh my God, you are so awesome. Thank you so much, War Dog. I really appreciate that. I will actually talk to him when I get done here, because he's in California. So anyway, guys, as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Monday night chat pack 2.0. And in case you're wondering what happened to my JG/Nikki DeBoer intro and outro, I have them. I just keep forgetting to update them. And until I update them, you guys are just going to have to, we're all just sticking with Connor and Dominic. And that is not necessarily a bad thing. So everybody, have a great night. Have a great week. Stay safe. Thank you, Robert, as always, for coming and hanging out. Everybody have a oh, yay, by Halloween. Well, you have to take a picture and send it to me so I can share it. That would be awesome, because my show actually is on Halloween, on Monday night, the 31st. It's Halloween's on Monday night is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, guys, thank you absolutely 100% so much, as always, for hanging out. Stay safe, stay dry, and as always, live long and prosper.
Hey, this is Connor Turner. You've been listening to the NX7062 podcast with Stephanie. Enjoy your evening.